Welcome to the Church Sound Podcast, part of the Repurpose Network, where kingdom culture, real life, and technology intersect. I'm your host, Prentiss Thompson, and what we do? We talk to real people, pastors, leaders, engineers, tech people, manufacturers, worship leaders, all about church, technology, and provide solutions for a successful Sunday morning service. You ready? It's time to take a ride. Let's go. Yes. Welcome to another edition of the Church Sound Podcast. Thank you. Oh, you guys make me feel so amazing. So amazing. Welcome to the next episode. Welcome to the episode of Welcome to the Church Sound Podcast. Kingdom culture, real life, and technology intersects. And those of you who are our original listeners know that we have now reforecast our message or our energy towards small churches or medium-sized churches, because there are more of them than mega churches, and most of the mega churches and the big churches kind of have it under control. So we want to make sure that we provide the information needed to move your ministry forward, so your Sunday can be 3 words: amazing. So make sure you like, subscribe, review. If you are watching, make sure you subscribe to the Repurpose channel, to the Church Sound Podcast channel. And if you have questions that you would like us to answer, just email us at thechurchsoundpodcast@gmail. thechurchsoundpodcast@gmail.com. So last week we delved into white churches and black staff. And we're going to continue that because I kind of want you guys to get a clear understanding of the good side of my experience moving forward. So if you want the full story, what I would like you to do, if you're a new listener, go and listen to last week's show, and so you can kind of be put up to date on what we're going to discuss as part 2, if you will, as part 2. So we're going to get a little personal today, and I kind of want you guys to kind of walk away with this real life technology and kingdom culture and how this all plays into building your church media teams effectively. So about 2 months ago, about a year ago, my wife started attending a church while I was working. And I went there a few times on my off day, and I went there like during the week, liked it, been in church a long time. So I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And music was good. Visual was good. The people seemed very nice and authentic. That's the way to say it. And I just, over time, my wife would kind of go and she would, tell me how she liked the service and all those things. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you liked it, huh? She's like, yeah, I really liked it. And I thought it was really, really cool. And the people seemed very genuine and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. So after I left the church I was working at, I was now able to attend church. I didn't attend church for about a month. I was like, I needed a break. I needed a break. I really, really needed a break from everything, everyone. I needed a break. So we started attending and started sitting in the middle, and we started sitting a little closer, and then we started sitting in the front row. And then I was like, babe, I think you should join this church. Now, let me just go back up a minute. So my wife started going to another church because we went to this church when we first arrived in South Carolina, and then I started working. So that was a whole other thing. She started attending another church, and so she really liked that church as well. She liked that church, and so I went to that church, and I was like immediately, I was like, no, this not it. And, I basically placed it this way. I said, I cannot grow here. And I know I can't grow here. And if you want to go here, I can't tell you where not to go. I can tell you where I'm not going to go. And if we're going to be, on the same team, then I don't want to go here. And nor am I interested in being around these people. And there's nothing wrong with the people. I just knew that this wasn't it. So we started going back to the church I'm talking about now. I'm not going to name names because it's not important. So, which leads me to my first point of my discussion with you guys. One is to familiarize yourself with the church's beliefs, values, traditions, and understand the context of what they're doing. So I looked at it from a life perspective. We joined the church. He went through like some intake, which I thought was really, 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 really cool because they had 2 steps of intake, meaning that they had an invitation monthly for new membership, right? And they have a system where the senior pastor breaks down their beliefs, their tenets, their traditions, and you can decide from there. It's no pressure. And if you decide to join the church, then you will come back for the second session, which is the following week. And what I thought was cool was that, so I went to me and my wife went to the first meeting in January, and then when the second meeting happened, I was working on a film, and no, I was in New York. I was in New York, building my podcast studio in New York City called Metro Podcast Studio. If you're in New York, you like to record your podcast, you're more than welcome to come through. And so I was going to be out of town. And so she went to the second meeting, and then the second meeting I went the following month, which was I went the following month. And inside of that second meeting, they have small groups, which I thought was really, really cool. They have small groups from all walks of life, from seniors to children, to single mothers, to just men, just young couples under 30, 40, teenage musicians. They had about 70 small groups. And it was centered around the teachings of that's really was going on for the series that the pastor was speaking on, which is really good because you got to get a deeper dive in how it applies to your life and how you see it applies to other people's lives. So I thought it was really cool. And in that second meeting, you decide whether you want to be on a serve team, meaning that what do you want to volunteer for, where you want to serve. And, immediately, while attending the church, I'm always checking out the tech. I know what's happening while it's happening. I'm like, oh, he's playing Ableton. Okay, using a Nord. Okay, he's got 2 inputs coming out the Nord. Okay, this guy has a 5-string. The drummer has a big, okay, cool. What does he have on the hi-hat? Look at the screens, at the projector. Oh, it's a 4K projector. Okay, cool. We see how they're running that. Okay, all right, see how the lights go. Okay, oh, they are moving heads. So things that, that goes on with anybody that does tech. You kind of read it, and so you understand what's going on, right? Is your church sound in the building and online more of a prayer request than a solution? Small church, big sound problems. You are not alone. My name is Prentiss Thompson. media consultant, trainer, and the host of the Church Sound podcast. I help churches of all sizes deliver clear sound in the sanctuary and online, not by overspending, but by training your team, creating a smart, scalable strategy, and using the gear that you already have, usually with just a few key upgrades where it counts. I am located in the Columbia, South Carolina area. I can personally visit your church and help you to stop surviving Sundays. If you are in the neighboring counties or wherever you are, you can also book a free video consultation. 30 minutes is all I need to be able to help you thrive on Sundays. Visit invisiblemediaconsulting.com and someone will contact you. So, and I do that with everything. So it's not just this one church, just to get it out your head. I do that with everything. Going to a concert, everything. I dissect it technically, so I can understand what I'm looking at, understand how I'm looking at what I'm looking at, and then at the same time, like, learn something. So this is me all day, every day. This is nothing new. So I decide to join the tech team. Now, most times at churches, I don't tell people exactly what I do, or that I work at churches, or I mix for, Israel Holden and Ty Tribbett, and the churches they did concerts in, and Leandria Johnson, and Deidre Hatton, all the people that I had the pleasure of mixing front of house for. So because what happens, what my experience with churches is, immediately they try to use you. Meaning when I say use you, I mean use you up, meaning that immediately put you on a heavy rotation. And despite that you tell them, like, this is how I make my living, they just want to use you. So I'm very hesitant about sharing that information. But ironically, I wasn't with this church. I don't say anything. I don't. So, and which really brings me back to a point I want to make with churches about this one topic about using people up. So I was attending a church in New York City, and I was going there for a while. And the only person that knew that I knew how to mix or I understood multimedia was the leader of the multimedia team. And I would text some notes, like, during service, hey, tell your engineer to do this, tell your engineer to do that, tell them to take this out and whatever. So it came to, they had a men's meeting. I'm saying, this is just coming to my remembrance. They had a men's meeting. And in the men's meeting, it was brought to the attention of the pastor that I worked at B&H Photo, where they bought most of their equipment. And in the meeting, all of a sudden, the pastor says, you have a guy here who works at the church that we buy equipment from, and none of you guys have even tried to befriend him, and such and such. And all of a sudden, everybody want to be my friend, which is the reason why I don't tell people stuff. Because all of a sudden, I'm getting invited, and I felt it was so obvious that you was only talking to me because the pastor said so, not because you wanted to. It's a whole other story. But anyway, I digress. So in most churches that they found out that I mix, they immediately want me to mix. But this church, they had a process. They had a process of getting to know me. They had a process of not like a tight interview, but more or less let me learn about who you are to see if you fit. Forget your skills. Forget that, yeah, you've mixed and you've done this and you've done all this stuff. Forget all that. What kind of person are you? Is your wife here? Let me meet your wife. You have kids? Oh, yeah. Yeah, what small group do you go to? It was unassuming, but they really wanted to know, especially the leader, wanted to know what kind of person I was. Forget that I even knew how to do it. So this went on for a couple of weeks. And finally, he said, hey, listen, you want to come to rehearsal and kind of check it out? I'm like, okay. And I went to rehearsal, and they had a guy on the console running rehearsal, and he was a novice. And I got on the mixer, and I kind of showed him some things, and I kind of understood what was going on. And that was just, they didn't care. And that's the thing that I like the most. They did not care about my skills. They cared about me, the person. They cared about me, the person. Which then allowed me to kind of build relationships with some of these people. And when I attend church, people now speak to me just because. It allowed me a time to learn the technical setup of their audio equipment, allowed myself to familiarize myself with the specifics of the requirements of their challenges, of their flow of service, which was the thing that I really liked the most, is that, yeah, I know you can mix, but let me show you how we do church, technically. Yeah, I know you know how to do X, Y, Z. Let me show you how we want it to sound and why we want it to sound. And if you can add to that, that's great. But this is the standard. So this past Sunday, me, the engineer's engineer, was shadowing a guy who told me, I don't know a whole lot about this. But let me tell you the thing he was able to do. He was able to mix the service because they had a system on how they did it. And it was airtight. This is the intro. This is these songs. This is when the pastor comes up. This is that. And then this is the thing. They had a full sound check. So all of my churches out there that don't think sound check is important, let me tell you something. Sound check is important. They had a full sound check. And when I say full, I mean all songs, all announcements, whether they're digital, everything was ran. Anything that anybody that had to use a mic in the service was there for their section. If they were doing invitation, or if you were doing anything on the stage, you were there during sound check. Let me look in the camera and I say this. Even the pastor was there in sound check, giving notes, not just making sure his mic was good, making sure everybody else was good. That's what impressed me the most. They had a real sense of teamwork, a strong sense of teamwork that permeated the entire department. The music department is very much knit with the tech team. The tech team, the audio side, and the visual side are very much merged together. There is no separation. Because you can learn everything. You can learn how to mix. You can learn to be on camera 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can learn how to do Pro Presenter. You can learn how to do switching, all that stuff. The leader of the team, of the entire ministry, is the head musician. And I thought that was rare, because that's normally what you don't see, is a musician that knows audio that well, can really point out frequencies and go to the board and make adjustments. This is where culture is everything. And a system of entry. I have not mixed a full service. I mean, I mixed one service, not even a full service, part of the service I mixed. And they have 3 services a Sunday. And they have full rehearsal on the Tuesday. Let me tell you how dope this is. So they have full rehearsal on Tuesday. Before rehearsal, they have a small group with the musicians and the tech team. So they have a small group going over the message, right? They have prayer. Then they go into rehearsal. They rehearse the songs, make sure it's in the right key, make sure who's singing it. They go through microphone technique, all of those things. All that stuff is worked out. They have a service on Thursday, which is their first Sunday service. It's Thursday. So it's Thursday. And there's 3 services on Sunday. And they're all packed. They're all packed. So they have a system of intake. They cared about me as a person before they found out that I had skills. You know what that does for a guy like me? That means I'm going to give you way more than you even thought. Because right now I'm thinking about how I can make it better. Would I like to work there? Yeah, I think it'd be cool. But it's not in the forefront of my mind. It's really not. Because they cared about me as a person, not as an instrument for the service. So all of my pastors out there, all of my leaders, tech people, have a process, a system of intake to teach people how you do church. Teach people how you do church. Hey, listen, you guys have an amazing Sunday. May the power of God rest on your lives. And you go be 3 words, like I say, amazing. And I'll say it like I always say it. Keep God first in everything you do. And I see you next time on the Church Sound